I feel like there's going to be a lot of arguing about Eula because there's going to be videos of her doing 5 million damage on floor 7 of the Spiral Abyss, or someone's going to destroy the 11th floor in 2 seconds. But Eula gets 75% more damage on this floor than anywhere else in the game. And so people are going to see these huge numbers and they're going to get baited into getting her. But then there's going to be other people out there saying, nope, she's trash. She can only do damage here. She's a physical DPS with no damage outside of those tiny little places. And I don't agree with that either. I think that you can make her look way better than she is, but even at level 6 talents, boys, this is level 6 talent Eula with a Wolf's Gravestone and some decent artifacts, I think she hits pretty darn good. We're getting some visceral DPS, we're getting some debuffs from Zhongli, but I think that Eula does hit pretty hard, and with any character, if you invest enough, you're gonna hit hard. But look at this. This is not a crazy C6 Eula. Oh! Look at that burst. Eula has potential, but I want to be honest with my thoughts. So let's get into a review. Let's look at the average Eula and see if she's any good and worth your Primo Gems. But first, a quick word from our sponsor. This video is sponsored by Moonlight Sculptor. This is actually a brand new MMORPG, it's open world, and it's releasing very soon. They're doing a pre-registration event right now, and it ends on May 24th. So if you're interested in getting a bunch of free rewards when you start the game, I recommend going to the link down below, clicking that thing, and pre-registering ASAP, because it can help out your account when you start playing. This game is based on the famous novel, The Legendary Moonlight Sculptor, but you're completely free to play however you choose. Whether it's crafting, fishing, or battling huge bosses, Moonlight Sculptor will have something for you. So click the link down below and pre-register today. You've got until May 24th to get those bonuses, and this game looks pretty sweet. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into the content. Links are down below, boys! Hey everyone, Mtash here, and I borrowed someone's account to check out Eula. They had a Wolf's Gravestone, some awesome artifacts on there, and we just had the level 6 talents because I didn't want to waste any boss materials, but this is a pretty cool little 5-star. Now, I've played with pretty much every 5-star in the game at this point, and they kind of all blend together for me. I feel like any 5-star in the game, if you give them artifacts, if you build a team around them, they're going to do good. And they're going to do good for some content and not good on others. Will she destroy a Ruin Sentinel or Ruin Guard? No. No, she won't, because she's physical damage. Will she destroy some other stuff? Yes. Yes, she will. I feel like any 5-star in the game, if you really like their design, go for it. Go for it. If you're saving up Primo Gems for Eula, don't let me dissuade you. I think that she had some amazing burst potential. She's got a pretty interesting combo, and the longer the fight goes, I feel like she really does get some value because it's just constant DPS with these big hits of burst. I like her build. I think I like her kit overall. I think she's pretty fun. It does seem that she gets a lot of value from some of these constellations and a lot of damage. It's not the end of the world, but it does stack up and it adds up to a lot of damage. I don't think it's the end of the world. I think a lot of characters, like, you know, there's Xiao, right? There's Hu Tao. They're all going to get better with Constellation, so that's nothing new. But I used her at C0 with some pretty good artifacts and a good weapon, and I felt like she absolutely trucked some different things. So I wanted to show off a couple of different team comps that are going to be really good for her. I think for artifact sets, this new Pale Flame set is pretty much what you would want. I don't know why you wouldn't want to get the Pale Flame set. Try to get some crit rate and crit damage. The thing is Eula actually gets crit damage built into her kit. So if you can get that crit rate up, she's going to have some base crit damage that's going to be really, really good. If you can get a crit damage or crit rate weapon, cool. Really, really cool. But let's get into some team comps. So I tried this comp out. Xingqiu is on the banner right now. Diona you can get for free, so that's pretty awesome. And if you've played since the official event, you'd have Fischl as well. This one was interesting. I don't know if it's meta, if it's the absolute most min-maxed and best, but the reason I like this was we're getting the Cryo Elemental bonus here, so that's some extra crit rate, which is good. That's going to synergize nicely with Eula's crit damage. We're also going to get extra particles, using 2 cryo characters to hopefully get Eula's energy recharge going, because unfortunately Eula needs a lot of energy to use her ultimate ability. Now, Fischl is to do the elemental reaction with Eula and get Superconduct to debuff the enemies. And then Xingqiu, we were trying to freeze the enemies, lots of freezing, tons of freezing, and getting those bursts of shatter damage. Now, a comp like this is probably going to get buffed down the road because they're changing some of the different elemental reactions, and I think that's really cool. But there's a lot of changes you could make. If you wanted to, you could throw in like a Bennett and get some base damage here. You would end up getting some maybe melts going, not too much, but you could go with Bennett. I could see you using someone like Venti.
Didn't keep you waiting, did I?
Unfortunately, if you're using Venti and sucking everything up, some of her attacks are very horizontal, and I feel like you miss quite a bit. But honestly, I think that if you have one Electro character, minimum, I don't care who your team is, I don't care if it's Beidou that you got off of the banner, but if you have one Electro character, I think Fischl, probably the best one here. That's one of the main things, is you want to Superconduct, because she's doing physical damage. If you don't have one Electro character, she's not going to perform as well, in my opinion. And then you can kind of fill in the slots however you want. I really like Diona because she is free. You're getting that elemental resonance, and you're getting more, elemental particles, which is cool because Eula does have 80 charge on her Q ability, just like Beidou. So it's pretty frustrating trying to get that going. If you really wanted to just be a spam city, you wanted to use all free-to-play or banner characters. Oops,
Just
no,
sharpen my spear.
get out of there, go!
All right, let's go.
Stop! Stop! This team could be interesting. Is it going to be the meta? Maybe not. But you would have a lot of energy being done here, because when you Superconduct, you're going to get elemental particles, and you'd be able to just kind of spam abilities with Beidou and Fischl, get a lot of electricity going, passive damage. It could be cool. But again, Eula does a lot of physical damage, and as long as you can keep her alive, she's going to be good. Throw in a Zhongli.
Sure.
Throw in a Zhongli, debuff the enemies, create a shield. It doesn't matter too much. She's going to slap pretty much any enemy in the game as long as she's alive out on the field. Now, if you don't have a 5-star weapon, Sacrificial Sword could be interesting because of this energy recharge and being able to do a bunch of charges. You could make it work. Now, if you have the prototype, that can work as well, but something to consider is the Snow Tomb Star Silver because she's cryo, and so she's actually going to get this bigger bonus a lot of the time, which is pretty sweet. And this has physical damage built in. So if you had a Snow Tomb Star Silver, you could consider that as a weapon as well. But any 5-star weapon is going to be really, really good on her. Honestly, I would say, if I'm looking at her overall artifacts, if some of your artifacts can get a little bit of energy recharge on it, just a few percentage on each of them, it would add up to a lot. You want the crit damage, you want the crit rate, but if there is some energy recharge you can get, I don't think it would be a bad thing on her because her Q ability, her burst ability, hits insanely hard. It really is a powerful ability, and the more often you can use this, the better, truly. So that is something I would consider because at 80 cost, it is painful. It is painful charging this up. Now, there is a pretty big cooldown of 20 seconds here. So, maybe you need that full 20 seconds. But it feels like I want to use it more than I'm allowed to use it. Where my D-Luke is just like, Q, 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 right? My Venti is just sending freaking black holes everywhere. So, yeah. Let's look at some footage, and I'm going to give you my overall thoughts. But the quick and dirty is, after playing Eula myself, this is a very personal thing. Remember, I have to replace a Triple Crown D-Luke with a Claymore user if I'm going to replace him. This is a 100% skip for me after using her. I think she's good. She's actually better than I thought. She's better than I thought. So if that means anything to you, and I still want to skip, this is very biased and personal. But if you like her, I don't think it's going to be a bad decision. I'm not going to hype her, though, as much as Gan Yu or something like that. I'm not going to hype her as much as Zhongli or Aventi. I'm just not. She's fine, you can make her work, but I don't think she's going to change your life like other characters would. I'm not ever going to bait you in saying that. So if you see this video and you're on the fence and you don't have Zhongli and you're looking for one of those characters, I'd say that Zhongli is one of those characters. That's all I'm gonna say. Now let's look at some footage and just do a couple quick thoughts. So Eula can do some insane burst damage, but she also has a pretty awesome combo where you go E, charged E to debuff them, you pull the Q, you hit them with another E, and then you charge D. And you get a bunch of big bursty damage, you get a bunch of debuffs, and it's awesome. But unfortunately, you can put down enemies so fast in some cases that you can't even pull off the full combo, or you do so much damage that they enter an invulnerable phase, like against Child. One of the other things to consider is a lot of the elemental reactions with Eula are weak right now. You really need to do Superconduct, and they're buffing that, so that's going to be a buff to her down the road. Shatter is pretty cool, but it's not very good, but they're buffing that as well, so that's going to be a buff. So there's a lot of different combos and characters that you could use with Eula, and they're going to be better down the road. They're just not insane right now. The other thing, too, is I think she has really good burst and sustained DPS, as I've said before, and against many enemies in the game, she's really, really effective. But once they start getting shields, she definitely falls off in some situations because she can't deal with the shields the same way other characters do. That's typical. That's going to happen with a lot of people, but with Eula especially, you only get any elemental damage when you tap or hold E, or when you press that Q ability for one hit. And so something like an Abyss Lecter, other than the first part of the fight, the first phase, she's pretty much useless. Like she's not gonna hardly shred those at all, and it's frustrating at times. It's definitely frustrating. But I mean, other characters have trouble with shields, and maybe certain elements have trouble with shields, so you can't really fault her overall. Maybe she gets them into this phase sooner than anyone else could. I think that Eula is literally going to get better with time. I think people are going to also do more damage in time because that Pale Flame set just came out, and people probably don't have Absolute God Roll ones yet. So that's another thing that is probably holding her back in some people's reviews and videos, is they just don't have the artifact sets yet to fully show her off. But I like Eula. I definitely think if you are a fan, if you're looking for a physical Claymore user, why not? If you need a little bit of cryo to deal with some shields, she can do that for you if it's just certain enemies. But for me, Eula is going to be a skip, more biased than anything. Just based on my account, I'm skipping, not because I think she's terrible. And I hope that's fair. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon, my friends. Bye-bye.